Hey tribe! We're here. Let's get ready to kind of drop down, connect with the body, connect with the breath, and get into our vinyasa flow this morning, okay? So we'll start in a comfortable seated position. Go ahead and bring the hands down on top of the thighs. Lengthen through the spine, grounding down into the sits bones. Relax the shoulders down, away from the ears. Closing the eyes, relax the forehead. Just begin to notice the breath. Begin to lengthen the inhales and exhales. Deepening the breath. As you inhale, allow the belly to expand. As you exhale, pull that navel in toward the spine, pressing the air out of the lungs. Take this opportunity to set an intention for your practice today. Final moments here. Allow the eyes to gently flutter open. Inhaling through the nose. Open the mouth, let it go. Let's do that again. Pretend like there's a mirror in front of you that you want to fog up with your breath. So inhale through the nose. Open the mouth, sigh it out. Awesome. All right, let's go ahead and work our way over into tabletop position. Nice and easy, bringing the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, fingers spread wide on the mat. Anytime the hands are on the mat, our fingers are spread as wide as we can get them. Knees coming under the hips. Pull the navel into the spine, neutral neck. Inhaling into cow, lift the hips, drop the belly, looking up. Exhale, tuck the pelvis under, lift the ribs, release the top of the head down toward the mat. Continue to move with your own breath through cat-cow. One more round. And then we'll come back to tabletop position. Rock the hips side to side. From here, we'll walk the hands forward on the mat all the way and then release the elbows, the chest, and the forehead down towards the mat, coming into puppy pose, Anahatasana. Nice little heart opener here. Gently start to lift the chest, coming back up towards your tabletop with your hands. And let's tuck the toes and send the hips up toward the ceiling into our first downward facing dog of the day. Take your time here, create some space in the back of the legs. Pedal the feet, walk it out a little bit. Right, so we want to really kind of open up into the calves and the hamstrings, the ankles. Once you feel like you've created some space there, go ahead and drop the heels and let's hold here for a couple of breaths. So in our downward facing dog, make sure that, again, the hands are on the mat so the fingers should be spread nice and wide. Relax the shoulder blades down, the back away from the ears, lengthening through the spine, reaching the hips up toward the ceiling as we press back through the legs, keeping the core engaged. Allow the head to hang heavy, looking at the top of the thighs. Good. Let's look between the hands. Inhale up onto the balls of the feet, and then slowly walk it forward. We'll keep the feet hip distance apart as we stay in our forward fold, Uttanasana. Allow the upper body to just relax here, maybe even grabbing opposite elbows. Just let gravity do the work for you. Lift up about halfway, and then we're going to walk the feet out a little wider, shoulder distance, turning the toes out 45 degrees. Let's drop the hips toward the heels, coming down into our yogi squat. Hands come to heart center, Anjali Mudra, pressing out onto the thighs or the knees with the elbows. Relax the shoulders down, getting a nice opening through the hips and the ankles. Hands coming back to the mat. Come back over into a forward fold just for a moment. Legs will be out a little wider this time, so it may feel a little different. You may notice a different part of the legs. Getting a deeper stretch here. Let's take a slight micro bend in the knees, and then we'll slowly roll it up to standing. All right, heel toe the feet back together as we come into mountain pose. Toes are together, heels just an inch or two apart. Palms facing forward. Relax the shoulders down away from the ears. Engage the core. Reaching the tailbone down toward the mat, lengthening through the crown of the head all the way up towards the ceiling. Grounding down into all four corners of each foot. Lifting the kneecaps, engage the quadricep muscles. So mountain pose is one of those poses that the entire body is working if you're doing it correctly. You should not even remotely feel like you're just standing here. This should actually be one of the more difficult poses that you do. Okay, because we're focused Maybe lift the toes a little bit, ground into the feet. Lift the kneecaps, engage the quads. Reach the tailbone down, engage the core, lengthen in the spine, crown of the head, relax the shoulders down. Arms are engaged, palms facing forward. So whole body is working here. Take one more breath. All right, we're going to go ahead and get into our sun salutations, giving us a nice little warm up. Inhale the arms up overhead, fingers spread wide. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, hands to the mat, step the feet back. And lower down for chaturanga, elbows in nice and tight. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. 5 breaths here. Ujjayi breathing. If you've not already activated your Ujjayi breathing, go ahead. Create that slight constriction at the back of the throat. Creating friction with the breath. Warming up the body, creating that internal heat. Activating the metabolism. One more breath. Look between the hands, walk, step, or float the feet forward, half lift. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, release. Again, inhale, arms up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, hands to the mat, step it back. Chaturanga. Take your vinyasa. Inhaling into upward dog and exhaling into downward dog. We'll meet here for 5 breaths. Good, one more. On your next inhale, look between the hands, walk, step, or float the feet forward, half lift. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, release. All right, shake it out a little bit. See how you're feeling. Should be feeling a little bit loosened up, warmed up this morning, right? My nose is so stuffy. Sorry, it's making it kind of hard for me to breathe with you guys today. Let's go ahead and come into some balancing poses. So I will turn and face you as we come into tree pose this morning. Bringing the hands to heart center. Let's shift the weight over onto the left leg. Now, I'm not going to be mirroring you. I'm actually going to be doing it on my left leg as well, so it'll look opposite. So you can choose to do it the opposite way with me, or just listen to the verbal cues and be on the same leg. We're going to turn the right leg, knee out to the side rather. So we're going to really open up through the hips here. This knee comes open. Grounding down, create a nice solid tree trunk base here with this left leg. As the hands come to heart center, find your focal point, something that's not moving to look at to help you balance. And then when you're ready, bring that right foot wherever your variation of tree pose is. So you can keep it down on the ankle, you can bring it up to the shin, or you can bring it up to the top of the thigh. Any of those are fine, anywhere but the knee, okay? So it's probably the one thing that people are like, oh no, it's okay, I'll just put it on the knee. If you can't bring it all the way up to the upper thigh, just keep it down on the shin. Okay, you'll get there. Practice makes progress. Keep opening that knee, uplifting with the chest and the crown of the head. Breathe, don't hold your breath. This is a really long time to not be breathing, right? So make sure you're breathing. For 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release it down. Shake it out. Other side, let's shift the weight over onto the right leg this time. Nice solid tree trunk, right? Rooting down into that foot, into all 4 corners of the foot, into your mat. Hands come to heart center. Open that left knee straight out to the side. Get that nice opening here in the hips again. And then when you're ready, find your variation of tree pose, wherever that may be. Maybe it's different on one side than it is on the other. Maybe on one side you feel comfortable coming up to the upper thigh, and on the other side you can't quite get there. And you've got to go below the knee, that's okay. Actively remember to be energetically pressing that knee out to the side, opening up. We're gonna hold it for 3, 2, and 1. Go ahead and release. Bring it down, shake it out. All right. Come back to the top of the mat and get into some more of our flows. Relax the shoulders down, engage the core. Inhale, arms up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, hands to the mat. Take your vinyasa. Alright, we'll meet in downward dog. Inhale, right foot steps forward, dropping that left heel 45 degrees. Engage the core, sweep the arms up, warrior 1. Energetically pressing the right hip back, bringing the left hip forward. We want to keep the front knee stacked over the ankles. We keep the back leg completely engaged. So that back leg, more the focus should be on the back leg than the front leg. Arms are up, shoulders are down. Maybe even turn the pinkies in slightly towards each other. Good, keeping the core nice and tight. Inhale, straighten that front leg, square the hips. Exhale, hinge it forward, pyramid pose. You can shorten your stance here a little bit if you need to. You want to make sure that we're not hyperextending the front leg. Good. Start to lift with the chest. We're going to leave the left hand down on the mat as we bring the right arm up for revolve triangle. Now this one's a little tricky and it can get pretty intense. So put a block underneath of the left hand if you need to, as we still energetically are pressing that right hip back. Hands coming back down, and then we'll bring them to heart center as we lift the chest. shifting forward into that right leg, coming into warrior three. Breathing. Good. Release the hands back down to the mat as we drop it down into our lunge. All right. Get a little opening here in the hips. And then we'll drop that back knee, release the top of the foot onto the mat, lifting the chest, interlace the fingers, bring them to the top of the thighs. And find a little lunge here, maybe with a slight back bend. Good, bringing the chest forward again. Left hand coming down onto the mat. Once again, let's find ourselves in a little twist here. Really make sure that we're twisting from the core, opening up here. And then release that hand back down to the mat. We'll shift the hips back. Straighten the front leg, coming into a half or full split. So if a full split is in your practice, go ahead and take it. I am going to go ahead and work on mine today, but you can stay in your half split if a full is not there. A few more breaths here. Sometimes with these poses, it takes a few breaths to really get into the releasing, allowing the muscles to release and give you that stretch that you're looking for. So it's important that we give the body time to do what it needs to do. Typically in Ashtanga, we hold each pose for 5 full breaths. If you're in a full split, we'll bring it back into the half split. Lift with the chest, coming forward. Tuck those back toes. Lift the left leg up off the mat as we step the right foot back and take your vinyasa. All right. Inhale, left foot steps forward. Right heel drops 45 degrees. Engage the core. Sweep the arms up. Warrior one. Again, check out where the knee is. It should be stacked over the ankle. Energetically pressing the right hips forward, left hips back. Focus on the right leg. More focus should be on the back leg than the front. Arms up, shoulders down. Core is engaged. Make sure we're not overarching the lower back. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Square the hips. If you need to bring that back foot in a little bit, go ahead and step it in. And then as you exhale, we're gonna hinge forward from the hips, keeping the spine nice and straight, coming into our pyramid pose. Again, making sure not to keep the stance too wide. Watch out for hyperextending the front leg into the knee, right? So if you feel like you're doing that, shorten the stance. Yoga teaches us how to be more aware of what's going on in the body, right? And starting to notice subtle things. Good. We'll start to lift with the chest about halfway. Again, leaving the right hand down on the mat underneath of the shoulder as we bring the left arm up. Again, use a block here. And if you don't have a block, use whatever you can. So if you've got your water bottle handy, that may work depending on what kind of water bottle it is. Anything that you need to kind of help you. This can be a very intense pose, okay? It's an intense pose for me. And I've been doing yoga for a really long time. All right, hands back down to the mat. And then we'll start to lift the chest, bringing the hands to heart center. Shift the weight forward onto the left leg as we come into warrior three. Good, one more breath. Hands coming down to the mat as we drop down into our lunge. Open it up here a little bit, just find some movement. And then dropping the back knee along with the top of the foot. Lift the chest, interlace the fingers, bring them to the top of the thighs. As you come into your low lunge, find that little back bend. All right, shift it forward with the chest and then shift it back with the hips, straightening that front leg. Again, coming into your half or full split. Nice deep breaths. One more breath. If you're in your full split, let's go ahead and bring it back into the half. Shift it forward, tuck the right toes, lift that back leg, stepping the left foot back, and take your vinyasa. Take a breath here, let it go. All right, inhale, right foot steps forward. Let's drop that left heel 90 degrees as we bring it all the way up, warrior two. So once again, we want to energetically be opening up that knee, kind of how we were in tree pose. So we want to feel that opening into the front of the pelvis. Arms out, shoulders down. Inhale here and exhale, coming into extended side angle. So feel free to take whatever variation of this pose fits your practice best. So you can keep the forearm on the thigh or bring the hand down to the mat or to a block or come into a full bind if it's in your practice. One more inhale here. Exhale, bring it back to warrior two. Inhale, straighten that front leg, shorten the stance here. And on your next exhale, reaching out over that right leg as we come down into triangle pose. Pressing the hips forward, trying to bring the entire back as if there's a wall behind you that you want to press the entire back against. You should feel this nice little opening in the hip. And then we'll bring it back up to center and reverse our triangle, keeping both legs straight. Heart rolling the hands all the way down to the mat. And then let's go ahead and drop that back knee one more time. All right, so from here, we're gonna come into our pigeon pose. Let's heel toe that right foot over towards the left hand, dropping the knee, square the hips, and slowly start to make your way down into your pigeon pose. Now, if you have some blocks handy, this may be a good time to grab them. While we're in our pigeon pose, we wanna make sure that the hips are even and squared to the mat. So we just wanna make sure that we're not gonna fall over onto our side. If you still have a bit of space here, you can take that block right underneath of the hip to help keep it lifted to make sure that we're not dumping into it. Okay, and then if you wanna come down into your sleeping pigeon, you can, but you don't have to. In fact, pigeon was not originally designed to even be a hip opener. It's designed to be a back bend. So, I'm gonna get myself correct here. If you want, you can find yourself in a little back bend, whatever feels good in your pigeon pose. Most people just like to come forward though, and that's okay too. This is another one of those poses that feels really good to hold for a little while and give the body some time to relax and release into. So maybe if you have your block handy to rest your forehead on. Let's go ahead and start to lift with the chest. Coming back up onto the hands, tuck those left toes, stepping the right foot back. Shift it forward, lower all the way down onto your mat. All right. From here, we're gonna prepare for a round of locust. We're gonna do locust with the upper body first, and then locust with just the lower body, and then we'll put it all together. So bringing the forehead down to the mat, arms stretched out in front of you. Zip the legs together. Inhale, engage the core. Exhale, lifting with the chest and the arms. Keep that core nice and tight to protect the lower back. One more inhale. And exhale, release it down. This time bringing the arms down by your sides, palms up, and then we're gonna bring them underneath of the thighs just a little bit. Chin coming to the mat. Inhale, engage the core. Exhale, legs only. Good. Keep them up. One more inhale. Exhale, release them back down. Let's go ahead and bend the knees and windshield wiper the feet side to side. Releasing the legs back down onto the mat, this time putting it all together. We're gonna keep the arms down this side though, but we are gonna lift the legs and the chest. So bringing the chin to the mat, inhale, engage the core. Exhale, press it all the way up. If you want, you can bring the hands behind the back, interlace the fingers, bring those shoulder blades, squeeze them together. Do not hold the breath. One more inhale. And exhale, release it back down. Once again, bend the knees and windshield wiper the feet. All right, let's go ahead and bring ourselves all the way up, preparing for camel pose. So we're gonna come up onto the knees, keeping the knees directly under the hips. You have an option here with the feet. So if you are comfortable with camel pose and you're going to be releasing the hands down to the feet, then go ahead and keep the feet in line with the knees. If you're going to be keeping the hands on the lower back, then go ahead and bring the toes together to create a little tripod for yourself. We are going to bring the hands to the lower back, fingertips facing the floor, squeezing the elbows and the shoulder blades together. Inhale, engage the core. Exhale, start to press the hips forward as you lift up and back with the chest. Now again, if your toes are together, just keep the hands here for support. If you feel comfortable and you want to bring your hands down to the ankles, that's fine, but notice that the hips start to shift back. So send those hips forward again, opening up through the front of the hips. Release the head back. Camel pose. When you're ready to come out of it, tuck the chin to the chest, hands coming back to the lower back. We'll gently press it up. Release the hands down to the mat. Bring the knees as wide as the edges of your mat, and then send the hips back onto the heels, releasing the arms out in front of you into extended child's pose. Nice deep breaths here. Try to send that breath down into the lower back. Countering those little back bends that we just did with our locust and camel pose. Right, so everything in yoga should feel balanced. If you compress something in the body, then you should try to extend it afterwards. One more breath. And then we'll lift with the chest. Coming back towards our tabletop, tuck the toes, send the hips back up, downward facing dog. All right. From here, left foot steps forward on an inhale. We'll drop the right heel 90 degrees, bring it all the way up, warrior two. Again, just like in our tree pose, we're opening up with this front knee and really trying to get into the hips. Stacking the knee over the ankle, nice strong arms, relaxed shoulders. One more inhale here. And then exhale, release the forearm to the thigh as we sweep that right arm through for extended side angle. And just like on the other side, if there's a different variation of this pose that fits your practice better, if you want to come into a bind or bring the hand down to the mat or to a block, that's okay too. And then exhale, bring it back up to warrior two. Inhale, straighten the leg, shorten the stance here a little bit to make sure we're not hyperextending. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, reaching out and then down into our triangle pose. Again, press those hips forward, bring the shoulders back. Make sure you're not dumping your weight onto that leg, so lift that hand up a little bit, test yourself here. Good, and then we'll bring it back up to standing and reverse our triangle. Same thing with the back, make sure that you're not dumping. So our hands just resting here. You can even maybe bring it behind the back if you want. But with reverse triangle, I like leaving it down by the leg. We'll cartwheel the hands down to the mat. Again, dropping down into our lunge here. Drop that knee and the top of the ankle, keeping the right hand down on the mat this time. Find that same little twist we did on the other side here. Good, and then both hands coming back down. Heel toe that left foot over towards the right hand. Drop the knee, square the hips. Slowly start to lower yourself down onto the mat. Keeping the hips nice and even. Again, use that block if you need to. And if you're trying to come into pigeon pose this way and it's just not working out and it doesn't feel good or you feel any kind of pain at all, there is a variation of pigeon that you can take on your back. And you just create a figure four with your legs and then reach the arms in between, interlacing them behind the thigh and then pulling in towards the center of the chest. And if I said that really fast and you're like, what did she just say? There is a video in the video library in the Yoga Basics, on the Yoga Basics page, that breaks down pigeon and a whole bunch of other poses with all of the different alignment and variations. So if you're new to yoga, that's a great resource to start with. Few more breaths here. All right, let's go ahead and start to lift with the chest, coming back up toward the hands, and then we're just gonna allow ourselves to come over onto that hip, swinging the right leg around and making our way into bound angle or Baddha Konasana. Grab a drink if you need a drink. We are done with our standing poses. I'm gonna grab a drink. Taking the hands to the feet. Go ahead and give yourself a little massage. Sitting up nice and tall, rooting down into the sits bones, lengthening in the spine, relax the shoulders down. And then let's go ahead and start to hinge at the hips a little bit, opening up. So you don't have to pull your feet. I know every time we come into butterfly, everybody always wants to pull their heels in as close as they can get them and then grab and pull up on the feet. So first of all, we don't need the heels in that close. You still get an opening into the hips, keeping them out a little bit. And secondly, please don't grab and pull up on the toes. It's not good for your ankles. Right, so we can release the hands down in front, or we can keep the hands on the feet and press the elbows into the knees if you want to open up a little deeper into the hips. But there's still no need to pull up on the feet. Good, so to come back up to center, we'll bring the legs straight out in front, flex the feet. Inhale the arms up, and exhale, hinge forward, lead with the chest and the chin. So we want to make sure that we're not rounding and leading with the forehead. We want to lead with the chest and the chin, coming down into your forward fold. And maybe if you're really keeping your back straight, maybe this is as far as you go. Maybe you don't move forward really at all, right? Because we're working different muscles here. We're stretching different muscles when we keep the spine extended. Nice deep breaths. With each exhale, maybe finding that you can go a little deeper into your stretch. And then we'll release it back up to the center. All right, let's bend the knees, bring the soles of the feet to the mat. Start to slowly sit it back a little bit, and then we'll bring the toes up into boat pose or Navasana. So different options for your boat pose as well. So you can keep the knees bent. If you feel comfortable straightening the legs, you can straighten the legs. Or if you need to modify and bring the toes down on the mat, that's fine too. You're still keeping the core engaged no matter where the feet are. So all I ask is if the feet are here, keep it just the toes, right? We do want to make sure that we're working the core. Keep the chest forward instead of rounding in the spine. We want to make sure that we're keeping the spine extended. Hold it here for 3, 2, and 1. Slowly bring it down onto the mat. All right, knees coming into the chest. Give them a nice squeeze. Maybe find a gentle rock side to side. Arms coming out at the side. Allow the knees to fall over to the left as we turn and look out over the right arm. Just getting a nice little twist here in the spine. Kind of wringing the spine out. Twister, a great way to detox. Stimulate those abdominal organs. And then bring it back to center. Knees coming back in. Reset yourself here. And then allow them to come over to the right. Maybe moving the hips over to the left a little bit to keep the hips in line with the torso. Arms are out, turning the head out over that left hand. Alright, one more time. Gently bring the knees back to center. Pull them in toward the chest. And then extend the legs out in front of you, bringing each foot to the edge of the mat, and then allowing the feet to gently fall out to the side. Arms coming out beside you, palms facing up. Closing your eyes. Take a deep breath. And then return your breathing back to normal. Eyes are closed. Relaxing the forehead. Soften the jaw. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Unclench the teeth. Scanning the body from the top of your head all the way down to the bottom of your feet. Notice anywhere that you may still be holding on to any tension. With each and every exhale, just let it go. Allowing yourself to sink deeper and deeper into your relaxation. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. It was my honor to guide you through your practice. Namaste.